Yeah, cool. Okay. Well, hello everyone. Welcome to our live stream. Sitting next to me is Henry, who's made this whole lovely thing happen, and we're welcomed by Jamil and Mitch. So thanks very much for joining us, guys. My name's Jack. I'm managing director of Hand Brew Co. and one of three co-founders. Hand Brew Co. is a brewery in the UK. We're based down on the south coast between Brighton and Worthing. We've got a little brew pub down in Brighton. The production facility out in Worthing. We've been going nearly 8 years now, I think, which seems crazy. There we are. We're going to kind of go around the room a little bit, just introduce everyone, and then get talking about why we're all here and how the whole kind of collaboration with Jamil and Mitch has come about. So I don't know, Henry, if you want to introduce yourself.
Hi, hello. Yes, I'm Henry, and I've been working here for nearly 6 months, not quite 6 months. I have worked with Jamil. I've been lucky enough to work with Jamil Zainasheff this will be our third, will it? I can't believe it's only our third collaboration brew.
Right.
I met him at Fuller's back in 2016, would you believe? And we're still friends. So we've done a really great beer together today, which we will talk about a bit more. But I'll allow Jamil to introduce himself.
Jamil Zainasheff, brewer, author, wrote some books, opened a brewery called Heretic a little over a decade ago. And that's about it. And then my good friend Mitch Steele.
Yeah, hi, I'm Mitch Steele. I'm with New Realm Brewing Company. I'm in Atlanta, Georgia, in the United States. Been in the business for about 35 years. Spent a lot of time at Stone Brewing Company, which is where I got to know Jamil. And Jamil and I have worked on a number of projects over the years and have become very close friends. So this is great fun for me to redo this wonderful beer again.
Great. So I guess we'll talk a little bit about the beer. This whole collaboration has come about through the friendship of Henry and Jamil, the long-lasting friendship apparently that we've seen. So I don't know if you want to talk about how it's come about.
Yes. So we are brewing this beer called Evil3. It's a triple IPA at 11.5%. So it's pretty wild. It's pretty crazy, and it's amazing that we're able to brew it here at Hand today. We don't really brew a lot of triple IPAs, do we? It's a bit difficult with the whole the duty situation in the UK. There's not a lot of landlords ringing Jack up saying, "Where are the 11.5 IPAs? I'm tired of your 4% pale ales." No one's interested.
Maybe I missed the call or something.
Yeah. There's so many missed calls. But Evil3 it was brewed by these brew masters, these IPA fiends. And it's like all Jamil's beers. Whenever I look at the can, I instinctively just think, what is he doing? But then you drink it, and the execution is always so beautiful. You know, you just have to say, well, you know what? Well done. I wouldn't have done it like that. And the Evil3 is like the pinnacle of that. So, Jamil, I'll hand over to you so you can properly explain the beer and how long you've been brewing it and how it all came about.
Yeah, Evil3 was really just a collaboration of three friends. So back in the day, a good friend of Mitch and mine's called Mike McDole. People would know him maybe as Tasty McDole. We got together and we were at a beer festival, and Tasty was like, the three of us ought to do a collab together.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we could do it at my place. And so we decided to do a triple IPA because there was three of us. So it's like, okay, we all wanted to do an IPA. So IPA times 3. And then, at Heretic, we were calling beers, the hoppy beers evil. So we just kind of fell into, Evil 3. Initially, it was supposed to be Evil Cubed.
Yeah.
But, even though it was a superscript 3, nobody could really, most people had no idea what cubed meant, so it just became Evil3. And so we were fine with that. And when was the first time we brewed it, Mitch?
Jamil, I think it was 2014, maybe 2015, but I remember the festival was in 2013 because it popped up on my memory stream.
Oh, wow.
Just a couple of weeks ago. So
Yeah.
I remember that festival was in Concord, California, and I remember the conversation really well. And I think it was like it was a year later that we actually put it all together. So
yeah, that sounds right. So that'd be 2014. And, went through some iterations. And I think, the recipe was truly a collaboration from the three of us, expressing, our desires. And we all just came together and brewed a beer. And it was quite different than the one today, I think, our very first batch. But it was still delicious. And one of the great things about it is, the alcohol is, just very well hidden. It was just an eminently drinkable beer, quite Moorish, as you might say. Surprising for 11.5% beer, but we fine-tuned our recipe, and at one point we won the Bistro IPA Fest, which is a big IPA fest for a lot of people in the U.S. Even people outside the U.S. know about it, and where all the IPAs and double IPAs and triple IPAs were all judged against each other. And I think in 2020 we won the Bistro Fest. We usually we're right there in the top few, and then we won that. And I'm not saying there's cause and effect, but shortly after that, we lost our good friend Mike Tasty McDole. He really loved this beer, and more than anything, before he passed, he told me that he wanted us to keep brewing it. And so, getting a chance to do this with another of my dear friends, Henry, really just kind of keeps it going. It makes me feel really good that we could do this for the memory of Tasty. Lee, his son, would have liked to have been here, but it was unfortunately not possible. And this time maybe we can get him in some future brew, but this one was a little too far for him.
Yes. Wow. Well, yeah. What a privilege to be able to make it. And thank you. Sorry. Yeah. And what fun. Kate Hyde has joined us, head brewer of Hand. Kate has done an incredible amount of work working with you and Jamil and Mitch to adapt the recipe to the wonderful brew kit we have here at Hand. You guys, the emails, all I did was just do the introductory email, and then I've just stepped back in awe and just watched it all, watched the magic happen. So Kate, hello.
Hi.
Nope.
Oh, it's all right. I'll just like lean nearer to Henry. Hello.
Well, and working with you all, and especially Kate on via email, really gave me a lot of confidence that this is going to taste very much like the Evil3 that we brewed in the U.S. So I have a lot of faith in the process, and it is very clear how knowledgeable Kate is and how skilled she is. So that gave me a lot of comfort.
It's been an exciting, process for us. This is, by far the strongest beer we've ever done. We've done, a handful of imperial stouts before, maybe 9 or 10%. But doing something straight off the brew kit at 11.5 is, been something that's definitely been a challenge that Kate's stepped up to, and obviously converted the recipe into our facility here. It's very, very exciting. But it was when we first started talking about this project. It was quite daunting for us because at 11.5%, especially with the new UK duty laws, it's it's a significant investment for us, and just outside of our comfort zone in terms of the beers we normally produce. We're a very kind of, I guess, what we might call kind of pub or kind of draft focused brewery. So we make a lot of the products we make are for what we might call UK session drinking. So you kind of like 4 to 5%. Our roots are in, we were born in a brew pub. A lot of our roots are in drinking beer in a pub. So typically a lot of our ABVs have centered around that kind of drinkability. And so in the last kind of 2 years or so that we've started to venture up into, the 6s and 7s for IPAs, etc. So this up at 11.5% was a big step up for us. But after talking a lot with the team, with Henry, with Kate, getting to the point where we felt we could get to the point where we were happy, converting the recipe and doing everything that Jamil and Mitch thought that needed to happen process-wise on the beer to make it taste like it did back when you guys were brewing it. So it's really scary, and I think we're doing pretty well. The brew's currently underway today. The team mashed in this morning, had to unload the malt from the mash tun in about 4 loads because it wouldn't all fit in our hopper. And I think they're just about finished to end boil. Looks like we're hitting our numbers.
We're on the hop stand now. So the hops just went in. We've done a cooling whirlpool. We got it down to 75 degrees and Celsius obviously. And it's just on its hop stand. We're going to do a nice long hop stand, 25 minutes, and we'll start casting out in about 20, I guess.
Fantastic.
Great.
Oh, wow.
Did Mitch, did Jamil tell you the gravity in tank?
No.
We got 95.5.
Beautiful.
I'm just going to have to verify it out of the fermenter, but at end boil in the copper, we got 95.5, which I'm really, really pleased and quite relieved about. 93.3 was the target. So, yeah.
Beautiful.
Let's just hope that that lovely USO5 gets us to the target final gravity, and we'll be laughing.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
Awesome.
Very exciting. So I guess maybe we could talk a little bit about the recipe and kind of what's gone in it and why it's gone in it. I don't know, Jamil, if you want to lead on the grist perhaps and why the grist is what it is.
The grist is mainly, like I said, we shifted over the years, and I remember kind of the conversation when we were initially starting. A foundation of a really good American 2-row or North American 2-row, and so our equivalent there is the Simpson's Extra Pale, which we've used in other collaboration brews in England, and I think really does quite a good job of mimicking what we're looking for from that high quality 2-row that we use in the US for these kinds of beers. And then Tasty always wanted to have Pilsner malt in every just about every beer, and also the wheat malt in every beer. He liked the way that works, so we always had some in there. And then I remember the conversation with Mitch was, I think he said, a lot of people think that I hate crystal malt, and it's like, I don't hate crystal malt. Let's put a little crystal malt in this beer to show that we can. And so we did, and that's kind of where the grist comes from. And like I said, it was a collaboration from all 3 of us. And I was probably saying, just 2-row, nothing else. And so, it really turned out great that way. And Mitch probably had quite a bit of input into the hops as well. I remember that conversation.
Yeah, and we switched it up a bit over the years, but I remember I remember Amarillo being a mainstay in that recipe. I think every batch has used Amarillo, and I think Simcoe as well has been in there a long time. And and then Citra. Yeah, I think that the Amarillo piece, I probably was pushing on that because at the time when we first started brewing this, I could never get enough Amarillo to brew with it at Stone Brewing. It was just a hop that was not widely available, and it was always kind of a race to get it, amongst brewers. And so I didn't get to use it as much as I would have liked at Stone. And I think that's probably why I suggested it for this beer. But I think it's a great, I think that hop combination is kind of a classic American IPA hop combination with Citra and Simcoe and Amarillo. So you get all the citrus and all the piney and everything, that an American West Coast IPA should have. So yeah, just and we played with it a little bit over the years, but essentially it's been along those lines.
That's exciting. I guess from speaking to you guys, even though this beer's been at 11.5%, the drinkability is really there, super smooth and like infinitely drinkable, which is maybe a dangerous thing. So we're quite excited to, see how it turns out here, and if we get that same drinkability, because especially we've got 2 of our own pubs, and if it goes on there, they'll rocket through it if it's super drinkable.
Well, there's already been some controversy, hasn't there, about, because we're going to launch it the 5th of April at the Hand in Hand pub in Brighton, the legendary Hand in Hand pub, and we put up, didn't we, about how we're going to do a little crawl between various venues, aren't we? I think that's an idea. And a rather dour Scottish friend of mine went on Twitter like, 11.5% pub crawl, what could go wrong? So, people, the haters are already out there. They're waiting to see us fall. But we won't. We will be very, very responsible.
Yes. Always pace yourself and, put a pint of water in between, which is good advice anyways, no matter what you're doing. If you're drinking a pint,
not a chaser.
Pint of water. Yes. And you should be fine. If anything, I think 6 or 7 years of Evil3 parties has taught me that.
God, I thought you were about to say 6 or 7 pints of Evil3 has taught you that.
But there was a time I had we used to can the beer in 16-ounce cans, around 480 mils, something like that. This friend of mine, he was moving a hot tub, and so he asked all his friends to help come and move this hot tub for him. And I'm like, okay, yeah. And then saying, we'll have a little party afterwards. We'll barbecue and have some drinks. And so I brought a flat of the Evil3 cans over. And so it turned out that, like 30 people showed up, and moving the hot tub it wasn't somewhere far away. It was right next door. So like 20 of us just went and picked it up and walked back with it and set it down. And then we went and swept up the place where we got it from. And that was pretty much it. So it took about 15 minutes to move the hot tub. And then my friend Matt Thomas, who will be there April 5th when we have the pub crawl, he will be there for that. He and we opened a can of Evil3, one for each of us. And we thought we would just have that. And it just drank so easy. It was just such a perfect day, weather-wise and all that. And the beer was super fresh. We just canned it. And so we had one, and we were talking. And then we apparently had another. And eventually we had 4 each. And this was in the span of about 45 minutes, unfortunately. So I calculated it out. I think it was something like an imperial pint of vodka is essentially what we drank in that 45 minutes. So that was not good. That was the one and only time I don't remember something happening. I got home safe. I got myself a giant glass of water and drank that, and maybe a couple of them, and then went to bed. In the morning, I felt fine, but I did not remember between drinking the water and waking up in the morning. But apparently my teeth were brushed, my clothes were put away, everything was perfect. but I do not remember that span of time. So be careful.
Glad our cans over here are smaller than 16 ounces. Yeah.
Mix in water in between is the key, and then I think you'll be fine. It'll
Jamil,
slow you down.
I don't know if you remember this, but your daughter one time was traveling to San Diego and dropped off a sixtel draft of the beer for me, and I had a kegerator at home, and I was the most popular person in my town for about 3 weeks as we went through that. It was absolutely marvelous, and we used to. The beer was always released right before the day before the Super Bowl in when we were doing it at Heretic. And there was one time I got the beer, and I always used to host a big Super Bowl party. And it was a chili cook-off Super Bowl party and beer tasting. And the one year I had the beer there, that was the year I think my wife decided we weren't going to do the party anymore.
Okay, noted. Maybe some big bowls planned to get us all started before the call.
So, word of caution.
so that's the food pairing of choice, is it, with Evil3? A chili?
Oh, I don't know. It certainly worked. I mean, we had probably, at those parties, we'd have 10 to 15 different types of chili there that people had brought, and we had a contest where we had awards and the whole bit. And yeah, it's any IPA works great with spicy chili, so it was wonderful.
And
we're getting a lot of ideas here.
Absolutely.
It is an easy drinking beer. One of my favorite stories is, I think the first year that we made the beer, we had a release party at a place called the Relic, and my good friend John Palmer happened to be up, and he was like, "Oh, I'll meet you there." And so we're there, and I've got a table. He shows up, and he's like, "Yeah, whatever the special beer is that they have on, I'll have a pint of that." And they were serving it in pints, and he sits down, he's gotten off his plane. He's a little tired. And you know how we are. Well, we all are when we get off a plane and we're craving a beer. That first one goes down pretty fast. So we had that. And then he's like, "Hey, if I could have another." And so, he gets another pint, and he's going through the second one pretty fast too. And I'm like, "John," I said, "you might want to slow down." I said, "That is 11.5% beer." And he looked at me. He's like, "What?" He goes, "I thought it was like maybe 6-7% at tops." So
Wow.
John was enjoying them too.
And what do you put that sort of a drinkability down to? How did you achieve that at 11.5%? Because most brewers would be very scared of fusel alcohols and all that sort of stuff coming through at that strength.
Yeah, great fermentation. That's one of the things that I've always focused on was trying to, because I don't actually like the taste of alcohol. I like the the alcohol plus all the malt and the hops and the fermentation flavors that I enjoy. So I like that to be a subtle note. And when we did this, focusing on correct pitch rates, proper nutrition for the yeast, the proper conditions, temperature control, things like that, to make sure that the alcohols produced are alcohols that are, because you can produce many types of alcohols in fermentation, as we all know, and some of them taste harsher and are the ones that give you the hangover and are unpleasant, and there's the ones that are just a really pure smooth ethanol is really enjoyable. So we try and focus on that. I think another aspect of this beer that really works well is a portion of the grist is a simple sugar that ferments very cleanly, and is something that a technique that I learned from Vinny and also people like Mitch. Using a simpler grain bill, and using a portion of a simple sugar to help dry out the beer, make it not so heavy and thick on the palate. So we got a nice balance there between too thin, too hot, too heavy. So it drinks more like a regular IPA than something so big.
I guess that technique is almost like an age-old technique in the brewing world, made famous by the Belgians, isn't it? And we see a lot of it over here in Europe. But majority of Belgian beers all contain a good portion of some form of simple sugars, which just gives you that drinkability at the higher ABVs. I mean, I guess some of them do get up towards that higher end. I'm thinking, lots of them are kind of that 7-8%, but they'll drink like a 4 or 5% beer just because they've got that simple sugar to kind of keep it on the drier side, and not too, as you say, heavy or full or cloying.
It's worth adding that in Belgium they drink much smaller measures than pints.
They do, they do drink less than 16 ounces.
Yes, well, you mentioned there Vinny of Russian River. Can you guys remember how you felt when you first got to try their? Is it a triple IPA? They're piney, elder and
Younger.
Were you horrified, or were you like, this? I've been waiting for this beer all my life.
The latter for me. When I moved out to California from the East Coast to join Stone, and I started being able to get beers like Vinny's beers on a regular basis. I was home, that's how I felt. I loved it. I loved what he was doing. I remember when double IPAs first came out in the early 2000s, and I went to an American Craft Brewers Conference that was in San Diego, and Vinny and another person named Tom Nickel, who was a brewer in San Diego at the time, put on a presentation to teach everybody about this new style. And and I remember Vinny talking about using sugars and why that was important, because using all malt in a beer that big, 8, 9, 10% alcohol or even higher, you just end up with too much residual extract, and it impacts the drinkability in a way that's not great. So that was a real important lesson for me in my brewing. In my years at Stone, I definitely used those techniques. So yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, I mean, he's still doing it even now, isn't he? He's got his open fermentations and all that stuff. It's all open fermenters. It's that's the next thing that I'm going to say to Jack, that we need to get rid of all our cylindrical vessels and just get pure open fermented. I know you love them really, even though you got rid of them hand in hand.
So when like Jen, Clark and I started the brewery, it was in this iconic, beautiful brew pub in the centre of Brighton. And the brew kit in there was installed in 1989 by taking the whole roof off the top of the building and kind of lowering all these vessels in through the building as a kind of gravity or tower brewing, much like the kind of the older family brewers in the UK. So the fermenters ended up in the cellar, and as was maybe the tradition at the time, they were open squares. When I came on in 2015 trying to brew into these open squares, we had no cooling control, no insulation on them. So brewing consistent beer and having consistent fermentations was tricky to say the least. The fermenters were in the cellar of the pub, and they were in their own kind of room just off the main cool cellar of the pub, which in the UK is kind of 10 to 12 degrees for cask ale. So to control the temperature in the fermenters, there was a door between the two rooms, and I would open the door or close the door just to try and have some form of regulation in the tanks. So yeah, it was definitely a challenge, but yeah, maybe a bit of a rite of passage. I think I used to have to transfer most beers in quite cool, maybe 16 degrees. Let them start to free rise. Otherwise, they just get out of control if I transferred in at 19, 20 degrees Celsius. So I had to transfer them in a little cooler and kind of let the fermentation free rise while using my kind of open and closed door cooling control to get a beer that didn't ferment too hot and had some nice esters and all the rest of it. So unfortunately we ended up getting rid of those because they were tricky to work with, and we got some beautiful little kind of cylindro-conical fermenters, and to actually get them into the pub we had to cut the whole floor out of the pub and bring these custom-made vessels in through the front doors of the pub. They were custom made to just fit. I think we had 50 millimeters of give.
Oh boy!
And then a massive hole in the floor of the pub to lower them down with a gantry crane. It was all bonkers. I think on the move day when we were bringing all these vessels in, one of the locals of the Hand in Hand is a guy called Mark the Patch. He's a kind of honky tonk piano player, and he just sat in the corner playing piano, playing like ragtime on the piano while we're lowering these like massive these massive vessels.
Sort of like a Benny Hill theme song.
Absolutely, yeah. It was a real moment of my career, I think.
Amazing, like a Buster Keaton movie. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
Wow! I wish I'd seen that.
That's fantastic. So so for the beer today, I guess we've still got the transfer to go out. I think Kate said she's hit our target gravity, actually a couple of points above. So might take a decision to kind of liquor it down ever so slightly. But got a hell of a lot of yeast. Oh, she's casting out now. Yeah. So got a hell of a lot of yeast going in, and the fermentation regime as per Jamil and Mitch's recommendations. And then we've got dry hop to come, haven't we? You guys remind us what's in the dry hop?
Citra, Amarillo, and
Simcoe. Same again. Yes, Simcoe. Yeah.
So we're just matching up the whirlpool to dry hop. I'm trying to remember.
Slightly different. I don't think there's any Simcoe in the whirlpool.
Yes, maybe that's correct. Yeah.
Oh, there is.
There is.
Yeah. We can't do anything about it now, Jamil.
We changed it up a little bit from the last one.
No.
But
okay,
it's,
sorry about that extra cost, Jack.
Yeah,
but it'll be worth it.
Right.
Yeah. It was only 4 kilos.
Yeah.
And what we're brewing 20 hectoliters, thereabouts, 22?
16.
Oh, 16, a little baby batch.
Yep. Well, it might be a bit more if we dilute it a touch, but 16 hex. Obviously, when we do this beer next year, we'll double brew it. There'll be 44 hectoliters of it. Have we not discussed that? Okay. Because how much? I mean, you guys made loads of this stuff, didn't you? You were making 100 barrels a time? Was it? Unless I read your recipe completely wrong.
Yeah, we had 120 barrel fermenters, 147 U.S. barrels gross, and we would do 5 turns. Normally, it would take us 4 turns to fill a fermenter, but we do 5 turns, and I think we'd end up with something in the 90 some odd barrels or something like that. We would net out of that each batch about 85 to 90 barrels, something like that, 80 barrels. And I think at its height, we were brewing maybe 5 fermenters worth. So, a fair amount of.
That's a lot of beer. Well,
about 400 U.S. barrels.
Because got to set our sights on that, haven't we?
We would have a big party each year, and we'd have a line of people down the street that would queue up for it, and it was great. We'd do that, and then it was important to me that we sent the beer, to all our fans, wherever they resided, and so we would send it to pretty much around the world, to all the places that had ever had Heretic beer. And I recall carrying some cans and things like that back to the UK a couple of times to share with people, and then they would look at it and go like, "You're insane. What is this?" Which hopefully
you must be used to that, Jamil. You must be used to people saying that to you.
People saying that I'm saying, generally my wife, but not everybody. hopefully you won't suffer the same fate. I'm cautiously optimistic that people are ready for having a full batch of Evil3 in the UK.
I think so. I think it's something that Magic Rock, of course, did. Unhuman Cannibal. Do you remember? That was their triple IPA. And that launch was something that was really exciting, sort of 10 years ago. And I remember opening up those bottles and just the hop sack aroma was kind of unbelievable. It just smelt like I just opened the dankest hops I'd ever smelt. And I think we don't really do triple IPAs anymore. We don't really have those big launches for whatever reason, tax purposes, or lack of ambition and imagination. So I think this is something, and people are really looking for something a bit different. So I think people will have fun with this. It's not hazy, so sorry everyone. It is in the true West Coast tradition. The wort is looking beautiful right now as we're sort of transferring out. So yes, I'm excited when people will get to literally taste the power of American hops and American bitterness and have all that citrus stuff, smacking you across the face, metaphorically, not literally.
Well, and Mitch and I will be there to be smacked across the face.
If you hate it, everyone, come to the hand April 5th and have it out with Mitch and Jamil. It was their idea, not ours.
Was it our idea or was it your idea, Henry? I don't know.
Over a lot of stickers in Dusseldorf. Who knows whose idea it was? But here we are. There's no going back now, Jamil. Getting me in trouble as always.
The die has been cast.
It has.
It's exciting for us as well, and especially for a lot of the Brew team here to do something with a bit more of a nod to the West Coast. I say a nod, very big old head shake to the West Coast, because I guess what has been probably not the tradition, but the in thing for a long time is all a lot of softer, hazier, juicier kind of NEPAs and everything. So the team here are crying out to make something with some business, even though we had our kind of annual meeting to do all of our kind of special releases for the whole year. Each member of the team get to do their own beer at some time in the year, and I think that was quite a lot of call for something bitter and hoppy. So we're excited to get that underway, aren't we?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, West Coast IPAs have gone the way of dark milds in this country. You know what I mean? It's suddenly become an incredibly rare thing. So we're bringing it back. 11.5% brew at a time.
Nice. I will say that they seem to be on the comeback in the United States, and there are people specifically coming into our tap room looking for West Coast IPA. So they're not dead yet.
So in about 5 years, we'll see that over here, because that's about the ambition, isn't it?
It is.
Well, maybe this will kickstart it and get it going.
Exactly. People will forget all about hazy IPAs.
The renaissance of West Coast in the UK.
That's very exciting. Very exciting.
That's big ambition, isn't it? That's what I like to hear. That's this one big beer is going to change everything.
Well, if you do like IPA, it's like I said, it's just a good easy drinking. It ticks all the boxes when it comes to just getting that West Coast fix, and you can do it all pretty much in one pint.
Yeah, 1 pint and then a pint of water, as we've discussed.
Yes. Pint of water before a nice meal, a pint of water, and then a pint of Evil3.
Yeah, and then a taxi home and straight to bed.
Well, you'll have one, and then maybe that was really good. Maybe I should have one more. Just one more, and you see how it goes.
Yes.
Well, it'll be exciting to do the pub crawl with you guys and taste it at some of Brighton's best venues, and also have some cask beer. I'm sure you guys will love to have some proper British cask beer.
Absolutely.
Just a little bit of that around here. We love it.
It's one of the reasons I keep coming back to the UK. I tell Henry it's to see him, but it's really for the
I knew it.
for the cask beer.
Do you guys have any other kind of plans while you're over in the UK, seeing friends, doing some tours around?
Yes. Go ahead, Mitch.
Yeah. So I'm coming with my wife. Her birthday is actually the 6th. And so we are going to head back to London sometime on the 6th and spend a couple of days in London, which is one of her favorite cities. And yeah, just trying to enjoy a little bit of time in England and have a good trip. We haven't laid out any plans yet. There are things that we like to do in London that we do every time we go. So I'm sure some of those will be on the docket. But yeah, should be. We're really looking forward to coming to Brighton because neither one of us have been there, and I think that's going to be the magic of the trip for both of us, is just being in a place we've never been and learning a little bit about it.
I'll just let you know now, the beach is stones, not sand. It might be a bit of a shock when you first get there. It is for a lot of people.
Good to know. Thank you.
Yeah, don't turn up expecting golden sands. Yeah. It is beautiful, but yeah, just to warn you.
Yeah, well, of course, we've got to take them to the Dolphin Derby on Brighton Pier. That is the #1 Brighton activity.
Is it now?
What, have you never done it?
Not the Dolphin. I haven't heard
Yeah,
of
the Dolphin Derby.
Derby.
Oh, well. Well, we're taking Jack as well.
An awful logo.
Okay.
Yes. And then, of course, there's the archetypal Sussex game called Toads. We will have to get you to play Toads. It's become a phenomenon, hasn't it? This game, this pub game. Basically, the toad is like a sort of brass coin, and you have to chuck it onto a table which is lead lined with a hole in. And so if you get it in the hole, that's 2 points. And then if you get it on the lead place thing, that's 1 point. So it's and you've got like an ocky, like in darts, that you throw it from. And it's Jack, when he was brewing at the pub, became incredibly good at it because he hates brewing. And so he just played Toads. He's never actually brewed in his life. He was this whole thing is just a cover for his Toads addiction.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, they love Toads so much. They've got a pub in Worthing, Brew Co, and it's called the Toad in the Hole. Crazy, right? So we'll be getting you guys playing that as well, and hopefully you can take back some ideas, and it can take over America too.
Kind of sounds like
2.0.
I'm a little bit.
Sounds like cornhole.
Yeah.
We
It's
did
like
cornhole.
a smaller version of that with brass coins and lead.
Yeah.
Which doesn't
Okay.
sound
Very
that
much a
really
British way of doing things. Yes.
Yeah.
Let's introduce some lead. And let's make
I'm a little
things
bit
smaller.
rusty though. All I used to do brewing was during the mash stand, I'd go down and chuck coins for a half hour, 45 minutes. But yeah, don't get those opportunities quite anymore. So need to brush up a little bit.
Yeah, and we don't have a Toads table in the brewery in Worthing, which I was furious about because it's the only reason why I accepted the job. But it's fine. I'm over it. But yeah, so there's so much stuff we can do once you're in Brighton. We can so many different pubs and Toads tables, and yeah, it's going to be a really fun evening on the 5th of April.
Yes, I'm a big fan of Brighton. Really enjoy it. All of England, and this trip, I'm coming with 2 good friends of mine. Jason Ledford, who owns the True Symmetry Brewery near where Heretic is, and then Matt Thomas, and he's a good friend and brewer. And we are going to. I'm starting in Nottingham, be there for a few nights, and then we're all meeting up in York for a couple of nights, and then over to Birmingham. We're gonna go out and drink some bitters and milds. We're gonna go to Batham's and Holden's and the Beacon Hotel, and all the classics. And then down to Birmingham for go out to Lewis and visit one of our favorite breweries there, and enjoy the beer crawl in Brighton, and then over to Portsmouth. Going to hit some of the breweries there, and I want to see the HMS Mary Rose, which is high on my list. And that'll be my trip. So I'm looking forward to it. A lot of fun.
Should go and check out HMS Warrior as well in Portsmouth. That's what's that?
Right.
That's Portsmouth, isn't it? Yeah.
Or is it Victory? Somebody told me Victory was there.
Oh no, I'm getting confused. There's a couple of them.
Yes. Maybe all three. Yes. If I have the time, I definitely want to check it out.
It's one of the breweries in Portsmouth. Used to run a beer festival. Maybe they still do every year on HMS Warrior. It's called Warrior Fest. Yeah, beer.
Wow.
Brewery called Staggeringly Goods. Yeah, the most incredible beer festival or location for a beer festival you've ever seen on this beautiful old, piece of British history. Apparently they've had to cancel it after the last one. Was it because of rain or capacity? Because of drunk people on the boat, apparently.
The ship sank. That's why. Nothing could happen ever again.
The cleanup.
Dredge it up.
Yeah.
What a party that must have been. Were you guys there?
Yeah, Clark was, yeah.
Clark was to blame. Wow. Wow.
That's why he knows
He's
not allowed anymore.
Go.
Yeah, we took a 2.9% table beer, so it definitely wasn't our fault for getting everyone drunk. Oh, we might have taken a 9% Belgian thing as well, apparently. So maybe it was our fault.
I do have a question for you. Do you think that doing this Evil3 beer, this 11.5% triple IPA, is going to result in you guys, being banned from somewhere? The news outlets covering it. Some sort of regulations being put in place by the local council about ABV or hand brewing or
hopefully not. I mean, the government has made it a lot harder over the last 6 months to make stronger beer. They brought in some new laws or kind of reformed the duty system last year so that any beer over 8.5% pays the full duty rate. The way our tax system here works in the UK is, as a smaller brewer, we pay roughly 50% the beer tax as one of the large macros. It used to be on any ABV, so far as I remember, but now only up to 8.5%. So over 8.5%, we'd pay the same duty rate as the macros, and it's just a way for the government to encourage kind of lower ABV drinking. They brought in some other things at the lower end, so I think but between maybe 1.2 and 3.4%, you get an even lower duty rate than the regular one, just to encourage some lower ABV drinking. So maybe we'll be getting some interesting phone calls, but to be found out.
Yeah, I mean, so next year we'll be releasing a 1.5% triple IPA in response.
There you go.
Well, I think we could do it. I think we could do it.
I think so too. Well, it's funny. People would say, oh, you love all these really high alcohol beers. You love drink. I'm like, actually, that's not for me. I appreciate all the much lower, ABV beers of England. The 3.2% beers, perfect for me. I can have more pints of them. I can spend longer in the pub. So that's one of the things I really love. And I love, malty beers, as well. So, it's just, I find it, fascinating and fun to be able to brew something like this. And, regardless of what the government says, you should brew it,
Absolutely. And it's really exciting for the team here because it just gives us a chance to, work on our kind of brewing skills and develop the team skills brewing these kinds of beers on our kicks. Obviously, it's something we've just never done before. So it's quite exciting, especially on the fermentation side. Obviously, the big worry with these beers is just all those kind of higher alcohols, fusel alcohols with these kind of beers. So following a good rigid fermentation kind of profile is going to be super critical and really interesting for us to learn here.
Yes, I mean, we were talking this morning, weren't we, Jamil and Mitch, about the fermentation. And I think you gave us a great tip, which was rather than putting the yeast nutrient in towards the end of the boil or at the end of the boil, which is what we normally do, to actually add it after 36 hours. So you add it after 36 hours because, as you said, Jamil, that's sort of after the growth phase of the yeast, when the yeast will have used up quite a lot of the amino acids from the wort, and it kind of, with a beer of this strength, it needs more of that topping up. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a sort of turn it into this sort of yeast nutrient powder. We're going to turn it into a slurry and then add it in after 36 hours. So that was a great tip to sort of maintain the fermentation and make sure the yeast doesn't start producing some sort of hot alcohols and all that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it'll really help out. It's funny, the more I know about yeast, the more everything is tied to amino acids. So amino acids, the yeast utilize to do pretty much everything they do. And, you turn the temperature down, the yeast utilize the amino acids, slower. And you turn the temperature up, they use them faster. You provide more, they grow more. If you wait until later, then they use it for better fermentation. The types of amino acids determine a lot of the flavor that yeast produce. So there are certain amino acids that you increase them and you decrease diacetyl. There's other amino acids that give you more of a rose-like alcohol. There's amino acids that make the beer taste more malty. It's fascinating what the amino acids do and how important they are, or how critical they are to fermentation and the flavors that you get. So it's said that there's 19 of the 20 essential amino acids in beer. Essential amino acids being the 20 amino acids that are necessary for life. And 19 of them can be found in beer. So I think that's pretty cool.
So drink more beer by the sounds of it.
Right.
Yeah.
It's essential for life, clearly.
It is. Yeah. So we've got to make sure that on Friday afternoon we don't forget to do that.
No, I'm sure there's enough people here.
Right.
Oh, I mean,
remind me.
We gotta get that done. As much as we all want to run out the door immediately. Because I think we are. Yeah, I think we're just about to pitch the yeast. So I think we're
nice.
So we're just about to start that process.
Nice.
So to start the clock ticking, and Jamil, you were sort of saying that a beer of this magnitude only sort of takes 4 to 5 days to ferment usually.
Yeah, we would get fairly at least for the bulk of fermentation. It's pretty much done. The majority of it's done within about 3 days. So we would get the bulk of fermentation done, and then there's some time where you're allowing the yeast to flocculate and things like that, and then you're dry hopping, of course. So ends up taking maybe a couple of weeks, and then carbonation, and it takes a couple of weeks before you can really package it off.
Only a couple of weeks, or a couple of weeks after primary fermentation.
Yeah, our total from brew to having it in the package was about 3 weeks.
Wow,
and that's scheduling, canning, and things like that.
That to me is kind of incredible. That and speaks to you guys' skills as brewers, really, that you're able to make a beer this strong and then be able to release it and be happy for it to be drunk straight away, only after 3 weeks. I mean, that's pretty impressive to me.
Yeah, we would. One of the things that we did that I really, really loved was we would hold a tank of Evil3 And when people would come for Evil3 Day, which is always the day before Super Bowl, we would have the brewers there to fill growlers directly off the fermenter. So it was the freshest beer you could possibly get, and people really loved it. It was just kind of unique to have growlers filled directly off the fermenter. And so we'd get quite a line of people that really enjoyed doing that. So that was always a lot of fun.
Yeah, wow. Well, I mean, yeah, so that sets the benchmark for us. I can see loads of steam in the brew house. So that means that they've opened the door of the kettle. Mm-hmm. So that means that we're about 2 or 3 hectoliters away from finishing the casting. So it is nearly yeast pitching. So not bad for 2:25 our time.
Right. Yeah. And Mitch and I were there for the dough in and everything else. Those.
That was only 6 hours ago.
Yeah, people think we're just showing up at the last minute. No, we were there, and we're doing this mainly so we can be there to experience the beer. A lot of times, when you do collaborations and they're far from home, you don't get to taste the beer. It's very rare. I think the only person that has only a couple of people have ensured that I have been able to taste the collaboration beer. One was Mitch, who sent me when we did Unapologetic at Stone. Yeah. I got to taste that, and that was wonderful. And then another, and I hope I'm not leaving anybody out. But Andy at Elusive, he went through great pains to find somebody that was traveling to California. And when we did another beer for our friend Tasty McDole, his Janet's Brown, he made sure somebody brought a case of that to me in California. So I thought that was pretty fantastic. So this time, not holding out hope that Henry would make sure I got some of the Evil3. I was like, tell you what, I'll be there for the drinking this time, not just the brewing.
Wow. When the trust goes from a relationship, Jamil, it's over. I've sent you beer to that hotel room in Heathrow before. I've helped.
That's true. That's true. Henry is so Henry and I, we had a collaboration brew at Fuller's where we brewed a blackberry goza, and which is if you're gonna try and get Fuller's to brew a sour beer, that is really something they're not really keen to do. But somehow that worked out. And then we did the Gale's Prize Old Ale at Dark Star, and Henry made sure I got a case of that, which I muled back to the U.S. and have shared with a select few people, Neil being one of them because Neil was there. But a friend of mine up in Reno, he actually brewed the Prize Old Ale from the recipe using the dregs from the bottle, and it turned out fantastic. It really turned out fantastic. Yeah, so having the bugs in there from the beginning wasn't it didn't over sour or anything like that. It's just the right amount of funk. It was really fantastic. And now we're doing this, and I'm sure Henry will make sure I have all I need.
Yes, of course.
Evil3.
I mean, people have asked. So we've done a blackberry goza together, a Prize Old Ale, and now a triple IPA.
Yes.
I mean, what's next? I mean, I genuinely dread to think.
4% Pilsner.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Who knows?
A double gloop.
Henry and I, we get to drinking and we get to talking and we get to thinking, and that's where things go wrong. Or go right.
And we end up in situations like this, don't we? Yeah.
Yeah, it's so awkward.
Fantastic, guys.
No.
Kate, is there anything you want to add in?
Beer's finished. Cast out. 16 heck in the tank.
Right.
40,
Well done, Kate.
90,
Well done, Kate.
94.7 original gravity.
Right.
I'm not going to dilute it. I think we'll just let it sit there. And yeah, about to clean down and pitch some yeast. So we should probably steal Henry back and go and scrub some
I'm
tanks.
still required here.
Mitch and Jamil, was there anything else you guys wanted to add before we finish things up here?
You know, I just want to thank you for doing this, for brewing this beer, and I'm really looking forward to meeting you all officially in about a month. I can't wait. Can't wait to come out and see you all and try the beer and see your brewery, and looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Thank you for the opportunity. It's a big, exciting moment for us. So yeah. Well, thank you to Henry for the connection and setting this whole thing in motion.
And thank you to Jamil for just being in my life. Love you, big guy.
I love you too, Henry. Yes, thank you for doing this. I know it's quite a risk for you, financially, to do something like this, and hopefully, it works out. I'm sure this is going to be something you end up doing and just hoping to break even on. But hopefully people will appreciate your brewing skill and your willingness to push the envelope and do something different. I know our good friend Tasty McDole would if there is a heaven and he's looking down, he really appreciates that you're doing this, and he's very touched. I know his family is as well. So appreciate you guys doing that for him.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, our pleasure.
Yes, thank you so much, guys. Yeah, and see you on the 5th of April. It's going to be a great evening. We're going to have a lot of fun.
Can't wait. Yeah, I'll get the cans up on pre-order on our web shop, and I'm sure we'll put some links on our website, socials, all the rest of it, as well for our trade web shop as well for any trade accounts looking. And can't wait. Thanks so much, guys. It's been a lot of fun. See you in April as well.
Thank
I've
you.
got to go in the kettle now. See you
right.
later, guys. Bye. I've got to do some work.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.